Today we have All India rank 79 Eshani Anand with us. A big round of applause for her. And I hope you have heard this line, take one step at a time. And that best resonates with Eshani's journey. Our first attempt, she was not able to clear prelims. The next attempt, she was not able to clear her mains. And third attempt, she got into IRS. And finally, today, I think 99% or I would say it is IAS with rank 79. So I'll not take much of your time. I'll leave the stage for her. By the way, how many of you are appearing for prelims this time? Okay. And others, like all of you are next year. Fine. So everything will be taken care and the strategy will be told accordingly. It will be a detailed strategy covering all the three stages: prelims, mains and interview. Fine? Yeah.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. How are you feeling? Tensed about the preparation? Yeah? So 24 guys are taking 24 attempt. How is your preparation going now? You raised your hand, right? 24? Is everything okay? Like with your preparation, are you feeling confused? Are you ready? Little tensed? Who else is giving 24 this year? Okay. So if you have any specific doubts, we can clarify that today and you can leave when the prelim section is over so that you can focus on your preparation. Mains and interview I can also take care. But let me introduce myself. So I'm Eshani and this is my fourth attempt. In my first attempt, like sir said, I didn't do my prelims. I learned a lot from the exam, completely changed my strategy. It was not easy because I had studied very hard the year before. Then finally 21 I cracked the prelims, but I didn't do the mains, so that was again another failure. 22 I cleared both. I cleared the interview and I got the Indian Revenue Service. And this attempt I accumulated all of that and I was able to get this rank. So you see my journey was a bit incremental, but I want to tell you that you can clear this exam if you don't repeat the same mistakes. Does that make sense? If I had repeated the same mistakes of prelims, I would not have cleared the second time also. So my advice to those giving 24 is not to panic in the coming days at all. Only remember that you focused on your process. So don't think about the result, will you clear or not, but just on the process. I'll go back when I started my preparation 2019. I had the source list like all of you, and then I had given the prelims in 2020, but I did not clear the exam. Now in those 2 hours of the exam, I couldn't do very well because I did not know time management. So I did not know which question I should spend more time and which question I should not spend more time. You've all given mocks here? Mock exams? No? 24, have you given mocks? How is your time management generally? Can you finish the paper in 2 hours? Yeah? Do you have time management? Time management in this exam means you know which question you should give your time to and how many questions you should leave and not focus on the ones you cannot answer. Does that make sense? So my second mistake in the prelims was not seeing the PYQs. Have you all heard this a lot of times that PYQs are very important? Keep doing PYQs. Have you all done PYQs? Can someone tell me what it means to do PYQs exactly? Sorry? How do you analyze the PYQs? Can anyone tell me what that means? Please be very interactive. It'll help you a lot if you can tell me where you faltered and I can correct that. Yes, that's the answer, because in PYQs you will know the areas of focus, important topics which are coming. Can we all agree that when you start preparation for this exam, there is a lot of content online? Lot of sources, very big syllabus, a lot of topper talks, so much going on, you don't know where to focus. But UPSC doesn't give a rubric or a blueprint as to how to do the exam. We only have the PYQs. Does it make sense now? From PYQs, you have to see the areas of focus. Important topics which you know keep coming. For example, in polity, fundamental rights, DPSP, preamble, can you always find questions from these topics? So will you put effort on topics which are not coming? it doesn't mean you should not study those at all. For once, to give 2-3 revisions, but when you revise in the coming 40 days, only focus on areas of focus. For example, in polity, I would suggest you look at the Parliament chapter because you will have questions on this. Money bill and a lot of these topics. So that's how you analyze PYQs. And number 2, from the PYQs, you will analyze the mindset of the examiner. What is the concept that they're asking? In modern history, if you see, they ask a lot of charter acts, and they've asked a lot on famines that have happened or how the British did their administration. So that is a concept that they're asking. So you don't have to chase topics which they may not ask. So when you see the PYQs, please focus on these, the areas of focus and the mindset of the examiner. So in your coming 40 days, I would suggest that you focus on the PYQs. The second thing is, we all know that the prelims has 2 components, a static part and a dynamic part. Does that make sense? What does static mean? What does it mean? Sorry? Yes. Static means the topics which are heavy loaded with information, which keep getting repeated. Polity, modern history, maybe some parts of ancient and medieval history, economics, and some parts of environment. Am I missing something? Okay, and dynamic means current affairs, which keep changing every year, such as science and tech, some topics of environment, international relations. So these are dynamic topics. Which do you think we can predict a bit easier in the paper? Static. So where do you think we should put a little more of our effort while studying? Static, right? No matter how boring you think Lakshmikant is or Spectrum is, that is the way to clear at least 30 questions in your prelims paper, because you can predict this. And also remember, if you cannot get these 30 static questions right, your competitors will definitely get them right, and this is where you fall below the cutoff. This was my second mistake in 2020 prelims. I had forgotten a lot of articles in the exam. I forgotten preamble topic, for example. So this was one of the reasons my cutoff was also low. So in the coming 40 days, please focus on static, polity, modern history, core concepts of economics, environment, and geography. We forgot geography, but geography is also a very important topic. Again, when you study these topics, you will prioritize. In geography, you will start with the rivers chapter, for example. Then you will move on to other things, the climate, the monsoon, the ocean currents, because these topics will keep coming. So please prioritize your areas of focus in all of the static syllabus. Now, do you think we should completely let go of dynamic syllabus because we cannot predict? That's also not correct, because a lot of our paper, 70 questions at least, will be from current affairs. Where do you study current affairs generally from? Newspapers and? Yes. But do you think questions come exactly from that? Do you think it's possible to study all the magazines? No. It's a smart way to study current affairs also. Again, you will go to PYQs and you will see in science and tech, in environment, in international relations, what are the topics which are coming a little more repeatedly. For example, if you see environment, dynamic environment syllabus, you will see a lot of COP-based questions, organization questions, IUCN, UNEP. So these are the topics you should be chasing in current affairs. Will you be studying something very intricate or very small in some part of the world? Not needed, because they may not come. And you are chasing something with very low benefit, right? So when you study current affairs, science and tech, environment, for example, again focus on PYQs and how they are. Again, in 40 days, if you're giving 24, I wouldn't say it's prudent to study everything from start to finish, but I would suggest revise what you've done in the year before this. Current affairs magazines, just quickly revise the facts alone, the dates alone maybe, and just the emboldened parts. And newspaper reading is helpful. I generally did not make notes from newspapers. Do any of you do that? That's not a bad habit, but do you make notes from newspapers? Okay, so again, there is nothing right or wrong with this, but newspaper reading in general is important because you get a generalistic perspective of everything. In the exam, you will eliminate options based on your year of reading. You will not get the same factual question alone. So that comes to my third point. When you practice the mocks, try to do a little bit of the elimination part of it also, right? Like how will you, or the mistakes you've made in the papers. So when you see a mock, do you just see the correct answer to things? Can you analyze just by telling yourself, okay, what is the right answer? If you get question 19 wrong, you see answer is A, but you have marked C. Do you just say, oh, it is A, and you put the fact and you move on? I'm trying to say that answer solutions, when you see the solution PDF, it's not enough that you simply see the right answer and move on. You should analyze from start to finish as to why you got that question wrong. Was it a conceptual mistake? Was it a general problem? Like, so much came to my mind when I saw the question. I did not know what's the right answer beyond this. Like, these confusions you face. And it could be careless mistakes, seen correct as incorrect in the question. Does it make sense? So you've all given a couple of marks, I'm guessing. Some of you have given marks, right? Yes? What are the mistakes you have seen when you go back and correct? Or let me say, when you see a question in prelims paper, what is your first mindset? You get tensed, you feel like, okay, I didn't prepare very well, I should have revised it better, how do I get the right answer? There is so much content coming at you very fast. Which one do you choose and mark the right answer? Do you all feel the same? You've given marks, all of you? If you've not given marks, it's okay, we'll have another conversation about that. But 24, you would have given a lot of marks. Again, the way out from all of this is to have that conceptual clarity. When I see this question, there are only 5-6 words associated with it, and I will only apply this in this question. For example, if there's a question on Akbar, then you will know that it was Akbar's time where there was a lot of administrative changes, a lot of culture and art and history was doing very well. This is a concept that you should remember. Do not think what's in so many other billion books about some king who did something else. The point I'm trying to say is to reduce the confusion in this exam. Look at PYQs, look at your basic static books and create that conceptual map in your mind. This is the way that people keep cracking prelims again and again, because they've mapped this sort of understanding. Have I mentioned study all the books in the market? No, because that may not help you. That was my mistake in 2020. I had a lot of sources and I was studying all of them at all times, but they did not help me. So can we revise what I've said now for 40 days of prelims? PYQs, static, looking at your mistakes, and then revising your dynamic syllabus, a small part of the day. Can we move on to another big problem in this exam? For prelims? CSAT. No? Are you all scared of CSAT? It's a bit dicey, but it's also just a qualifying paper. Yeah? So you don't get more marks for doing a tougher question. You don't get more marks for doing it very quickly. You just get marks for accuracy. Right? If you do the question that you know and you get those 2.5 marks, you are done for the day. So my strategy was, when I saw the CSAT paper, I would quickly find topics in the paper that I knew I was good at. Let's say some topics in number system, some topics in profit loss or ratio proportion. I had practiced this, so it was easier for me. I would do only that and move on immediately. I would not sit and fight with a question in my first iteration at least. So try to follow that strategy, because you don't get marks for fighting and getting a question right. And my strategy was to finish maths in an hour and then English in the other hour. Some people do it together. They do 5 plus 5. They have the different own strategy, but I would do it one after the other, because this was my way of managing time. In this exam, in both papers, if you can make time your best friend, then it's a very easy way to clear the exam. Because once time keeps going by you, then you get even more pressurized in the examination and you cannot think very coolly. So there's a placebo that you do the things that you think you're good at. So this is a good strategy for CSAT. Even for prelims, GS, you will try to find those questions in the 100 questions where you're good at. There will be chunks of subjects, right? We all know polity comes together, history, right? Can you all nod? Yeah? So you chase the topics. For those who are giving 24 again, chase those topics that you're good at immediately and mark them, bubble them, and then keep your 10-15 questions aside. So CSAT strategy was a bit like this. Have you all taken coaching for CSAT? Yes. So how CSAT preparation works for 25 at least, you will practice your topics, number system, ratio proportion, take weekly targets and practice those topics. Keep the formula very clear in your mind. You have to mug up the formulae, because you can do questions much simpler. For example, questions on calendar or clocks, these are topics. So if you put the formula very easily, you can get the answer. First stage of your CSAT preparation is to get your conceptual clarity and do these topics in detail. Now then you will move on to PYQs. 2013 onwards, whenever CSAT came, you will start doing the PYQs because that's a difficulty level. And then you will take up mocks from your sources, coaching classes or something online. Now, I do realize that 23 was not an easy paper. But again, in this, if you simply had chased what you knew, because I wrote the CSAT exam, I saw the paper, it was not easy. It was not like the previous attempt. But I did tell myself I won't change my strategy at all, even though it was a tough paper. So I chased those questions which I was good at. If there was something in number system I thought I could do but I could not do, I would just mark across and move on. And if you really think at one point that very few questions you have marked, then you can go back and fight with some other question if you wish. But always make sure you have seen the question paper once in good time management. You don't want to be that person who knew that, oh no, 80 plus questions were much simpler. 80 to 100 was simpler, but I couldn't do it because I had no time in prelims. So to keep up your stamina, you always need to manage your time in this way. And a simpler placebo is to do those questions which you know very well. This was how my preparation was. So in 2020, I learned a lot of these things, applied in 2021, and I could clear. I had to give prelims, unfortunately, again in 22, and I still cleared. So that's because my basic strategy and foundation was very much intact. PYQ, static, dynamic, a lot of this was intact. So I kept my strategy very simple. Now, I'm open to asking questions for those who want to leave sooner in terms of prelims, 24, and then I can go a bit more in detail for 25, the sources, the book list, the time plan, or whatever you wish to study. 24, can I answer something in specific that you're going through now? Maybe online? Sorry? Mental pressure? You're feeling the pressure of this? I have to tell you something very honest about this exam, that like anything in life, you cannot control a very big part of this exam. You cannot control the competitors, you can't control the question paper, can't control anything in this exam. In mains, who's correcting your paper, for example. If I am ranked 79, I cannot control 78 people are better than me in this exam. So no matter what you do, just like in life, there is a very big part you cannot control in this exam. And finally, on the day of the exam, your results will be set, and that's not your worry. But you should have confidence that the whole process, you have been so honest to yourself. You have seen PYQs, you studied every day, you have done your static syllabus, and this is the only thing in your control. You control a part of things, you don't control another part. So would you put your energy in the things you can't control? No, right? Forget that part completely. Your result will come to you and it has to come. There was this quotation that I would write in my room. It says, the Karam Yogi philosophy, have you heard of it? The Gita. It says, do thy duty, reward is not thy concern. It's such a beautiful philosophy for everything in life. And there's a reason people still follow. Because no matter how successful people have been in life, the result is not in our control. There are so many things that decide for your luck in this exam as well. So always remember, just the 40 days that you have, focus on static, PYQ, CSAT preparation, and then 16th June will decide everything else. But you control one thing in the exam, that's your time management. So in those 2 hours, you will not let stress come to you. I'll tell you the problems in the exam, what will happen. If you don't know a question, the stress of this question will go to the next question, and then the entire time management will go away. If you see a question, you'll tell yourself, oh, I did not prepare very well. What was the answer? Why is it not coming to me? This type of negative self-talk will not help you at all. So please be mindful of 2 things, negative self-talk and time in the examination. Just look at the clock. My practice with the time was, I would keep the question paper and keep my watch on the table, and every minute I would map, every 1 or 2 minutes, because time flows so much faster when you're focusing on the question alone. So you can control only 2 things in the exam, time and negative self-talk. Coming to the 40 days, please only do static, PYQ, current affairs. If it's tough for you, it's tough for everyone in the exam hall also. But you can't control result, forget the social prestige or whatever that you feel like this exam will give you. It's just you who's answerable to yourself. Does it make sense? Does everyone resonate with what I'm saying? There's a lot of pressure with this exam, no doubt about it. I've written it 4 times. So I've failed so much in the past, so I can tell you that there was a lot of times I thought maybe I can't do it. But everyone faces impatience, anxiety, fear of failure, lack of confidence. You will always think your strategy is not working. My syllabus is never over. Trust me, even today, so-called toppers are also feeling the same. That, oh, we did something right, so something has come this way. But this exam is very much doable if you simply keep the basics. Focus only on the process and not on what you're getting. Yeah, it is very doable, don't worry. Sleep well a day before. Eat well. Anyone else? 24 givers especially, or 25? Something about mocks or your daily schedule now, or scared about mains, should you take answer? Sorry? Daily schedule? So like I said, coming to the 40 days, 45 days I think we have. So these days, wake up in the morning and please focus on static syllabus first. Slot your day into, or your weeks or your days into polity, modern history, geography, and keep doing these questions first. Okay, that's your first part of the day. Afternoon, I would suggest you do a bit of CSAT. I would have done this, seen my formulae, or practice 2-3 questions and really understood which topic I'm good at. You need to figure that out now because you have to apply this in the real exam. And then last part of your day, a very small portion, you can do dynamic syllabus, current affairs, magazines, maybe something like that. Please look at maps. When you see maps in the coming days, focus on the topics in news. A lot of this material is with you. Just revise a lot at this time. And try not to do new content in the 45 days. If it's coming your way, it's completely fine. There's nothing right or wrong with the strategy. But leading to a week till the exam, 6 June sort of that date, always do things which you feel good about. Right? Look at the papers where you've done very well. Focus on good topics in CSAT. Revise polity again because we already know a lot of Lakshmikant. So do a lot of things which give you confidence in the leading few days. Always look at your mistakes. 45 days, please make a small notebook of things that went wrong in the mock test or something like that. Question did not see the question, time management, stress, write all of these things down. The more you internalize in this exam, the more you will succeed. So don't look at someone external for your strategy or opportunity. You cannot replicate the same. So many write the exam, we all have the same sources, yet our results are very different because we are different people altogether. So always internalize your strategy and your mistakes. Be very, very cutthroat with yourself about your mistakes. Any other doubt for 24 especially? About maybe mocks not going well or CSAT, how to balance both? 24? No doubts, anyone? So can you move on to a little bit about 25, those who are looking at 25? Yeah, so 24, if you feel like you want to leave, you can do that also. So you don't have to stay for the entire session. Okay, for those writing 25, all the best. See you. Thank you. So those writing 25, you started your classes. Well, which stage are you at now? Have a book list ready, source list ready. Which stage are you at now? Have you started, finished classes? Or are you just about to begin classes? Classes they're going on now? Which classes are going on now? Economics. Okay, and you finished modern history, polity? Or they're yet to be? Polity is going on? It's completed. Okay. Modern history. So you're having classes going on, and I'm guessing you all have a book list at this stage. How many books do you have per subject? 1? Did you all do NCRTs? Okay. So since you're in the nascent part of your exam, don't expect a lot from the results in this exam at all. So don't study thinking, oh, I will get rank 1 or whatever, I'll get this service, I'll get this benefit, some relative will be very happy with me. A lot of these external things will put a lot of pressure and you will not be able to study very well. So try to disassociate yourself from any external noise. Only focus on your classroom and your study material as of now. And then after some months, we will do mocks. So the book list in general I'll talk about, and we can see if it's the same for all of us. Modern history, have you done NCRTs? We will do themes and NCRTs, and we will not study, we will study every line a little bit, but we will make very short notes from the important topics, something emboldened. I had done this approach, but always begin with NCRTs. Themes is also a very nice book which I had started to do. Then after that you will go to Spectrum. Have you all bought Spectrum? Yes? How many of you have bought Spectrum already? Oh, just all of you? The others have not? Is it because they haven't started classes yet for modern history? Okay. So Spectrum is the publisher, I think, for modern history. It's a very fat book. It will be a very good friend to you throughout your preparation, although it looks a little boring to read. But this is how you do modern history. You will again go to your classes and you will study important topics. In my preparation from Spectrum, I did not make shorter notes. I wrote it inside the book itself. So you will study from cover to cover in the beginning and underline with a highlighter and make a note of it, like small notes. Okay, this is how it is. Spectrum is also a very elaborate book once you open and see. How many of you have seen? I think few, right? Yeah. So it's a bit elaborate, but only those emboldened portions focus a bit more on them. And a lot of questions are doable from Spectrum. There was a question on Charter Act in 23. Does anyone remember? 2023 paper? Has anyone seen 2023 paper? Last year's prelims? Is that Nico? Have you all seen 2023 paper? No? That's a very big mistake, okay? Not seeing the paper before starting your preparation. Please go home today and just open the 2023 paper. Take a look at the number of questions, how many sections, how many questions of polity, economics and environment are there, and how will you approach the question. Okay, a lot of it can't be done just by coaching. You'll have to go back and see the PYQs, for example. So there was a question on Charter Act. Now this topic is there in the Spectrum. So when you open the Spectrum and the Charter Act, you will underline the important topics and you will focus on the ones which are coming. The modern history, NCRTs and Spectrum is what I had done. Coming to polity, you've all finished the polity classes, I'm assuming. Which books have you started for polity? Lakshmikant, have you done NCRTs also? The 6th standard ones also, the much preliminary ones. So in my preparation, I had a cursory reading of the economics of polity, just to get the vocabulary of parliament and all of this ready. And it's always a good habit to do these textbooks in the beginning. But you will not be investing all of your preparation only stuck with the NCRTs, right? You will move on to Lakshmikant and polity. And again, in coaching classes, whatever topics that they've given, that will be your base. But when they finish classes here for polity or modern history, please go back to PYQs and take a look at it. Have you all done that for polity? Have you done that? So now, no, do it today. The point is, go back to the PYQs. Please see, can you answer the same question based on your coaching or whatever book you have read now. If you are not able to recall articles, basic factoids in polity, it will be very difficult for you in the coming exam. So in polity, we study important topics like fundamental rights, preamble, DPSP, parliament chapter. Please make a note of all of this. Fundamental rights, just write FR, DPSP, fundamental duties, preamble, parliament chapter, center-state relationships, and basic structure, amendment of the constitution. These are all different topics that you will study in priority and then try to do PYQs the same day. Now coming to the third, so that is the economics. So you've all started economics classes. Are you all following the concepts? Do you find it hard? Do you know a textbook in the market for economics which you can easily study? Yes, so there are a lot of books in the market, but generally in the examination, economics is a more conceptual set. So you will have questions on inflation, rupee sliding, on bank rates, for example. So a lot of this, so to say, in quotes, the static part of economics. So when you have classes for economics, only focus on the concept. Can someone tell me what they mean by concept in economics? Is it just seeing the notes of the class? See the PYQs. You will realize that the same question is asked in many different ways, and that's how they're checking your concept clarity. They couple inflation with rupee, they couple something on trade with rupee, and they will ask you the same concept. Expansionary, contractionary policy. This comes almost every year. So if you see the economics part of our exam, it is core concepts. So try to chase less academic bookish material in the market, but focus on concepts in your coaching or any other way. So please see PYQs today when you go back home and try to understand why are you studying something every day. You should have a why. Is it a PYQ? when you study current affairs, is it to eliminate something? Am I making sense? So in your preparation, one way to know, to get confidence about your preparation, is to know why you're studying this. There should be some commensurate reason from PYQs at least, or some areas of focus which are coming. Now we move on to geography. Have you started geography classes yet? So geography, we do the NCRTs again, starting from our 6 onwards. I had done even the early ones, but we focus on 11th and 12th NCRTs a lot more. Do you like geography as a subject? It's pretty interesting. Again, there are very important questions that keep coming from geography. There is a topic on oceans, topic on climate, topic on rivers. A lot of these topics keep coming in the exam, and you will see this almost every year. When you have your geography classes, please go back to PYQs again and see how they're asking the same questions. So geography, I had made very small notes from coaching and also the textbooks. Beyond this, it doesn't make sense to chase other books in the market. I did not do it, but it's up to you if you wish to. But always keep the limits within these, the PYQs and what you're learning in class and these important topics. Now we move on to which topic we're going to talk about. Environment. Anyone can tell me, describe to me this environment topic. Have you seen the PYQs? Have the classes begun? Have the classes begun for you? Okay. So environment topic has an Indian component which relates to things like tiger reserves, maps in India, where you have a lot of our physical features, for example, the climate, and there's an international component for environment, which is the international organizations and something in current affairs like COP28 meeting or some metric that comes in the news. So we cannot chase the dynamic portion alone for environment. We'll focus on the static part. And there are many books in the market which you can chase. We will focus on animals in news. We will focus on tiger reserves, national parks, wildlife sanctuaries. Now there are so many in our country, right? Do you think we can make a list of everything and put them in the maps? So what do you think we would do? What will we do? We will look at PYQs again. Because there are a couple of wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, which keep getting repeated. Not just in question, but also the options, ABCD options. Because in 2020, if I'm not wrong, a lot of them were repeated again. So when you see a tiger reserve or a wildlife sanctuary, please mark it in the map and see the climatic regions. The animals which are a part of it. Does that make sense? So this you will not find in any book. Maybe some coaching or online resource can help you, but you will do this work on your own for environment. And this is a time-consuming practice. Okay, can we move on to science and tech? Any idea how to do this? No? Have your classes begun? Yes? What do you think the UPSC wants to know through science and technology? What do you think they would want you to know? Sorry? Yes. New technologies, right? They're asking new technologies, and do you know their application? They are not going into core engineering or core physics of things, but they want you to know terminology associated with things. If you talk about quantum computing, you should know what entanglement is and superimposition is. A lot of these vocabulary, and this comes from current affairs, from newspapers and from current affairs magazines. So it's very tough to find one textbook. I do not follow a textbook alone for science and tech, but I would chase the magazines and also the newspapers for science and technology. What do we have? What have I left out? Ancient medieval history. Do you think there's a way to predict this? It's a very large subject. But again, in this, I had seen the PYQs, seen the areas of focus. You can go to the themes. I did the themes, the NCRTs. I had done that. And I had done the Tamil Nadu textbook also, the government textbook that they have. And your class notes you can do if you wish to. So this was my strategy. But again, in this subject in specific, I did not see political history so much. The kings and a lot of their politics. But I saw the culture, the administration. I think these are more important things to focus on. Okay, any questions on this? There's so many online. Maybe if this institute has, you can see that also. But there are a lot of books online for current affairs. You can take a look at that. But the point is not which magazine helps you crack the exam. The point is which topic do you know you should not study. Does that make sense? You need to see PYQs again and see what type of questions they're asking. So they've asked blockchain, NFT, they've asked SaaS and all of that. So they might ask you something on new technologies coming now, and see that in the news. Biotech is a very important topic. RNAi, somatic nuclear transfer. These are all PYQs. I'm not creating these words. These are PYQs. Have you seen the PYQs? Take a look at them. You will realize that biotech and IT, these are good topics which are coming in the news now, and that's what they ask generally. So it's through when there are explained series in the newspaper, Indian Express. Have you seen like a very big page on explained series? They give answer a lot of questions. From that also questions can come sometimes on science and tech. So it's a current affairs based preparation. Anyone online has a doubt? Okay. Someone has asked NCERT books from which class should we study? In my opinion, the earlier you go, at least from class 6, it's always good. There's a repetition in class 6 and class 9, but I did this because I wanted continuity. And honestly, class 6, 7, 8 are much faster to study. You don't have to spend weeks to just make notes of the same things. Just get a cursory reading. So you need to pace your studies like this. Do your NCERTs very quickly, and then move on to your coaching class material or your normal textbooks, and you will make a very small short note on every topic, and that is what you'll keep revising. When you revise in the 40 days, you will not go back to NCERTs. You'll go back to Lakshmikant and prioritize your topics. You'll start with fundamental rights, DPSP Parliament chapter. Now, does the whole examination make sense to you? In the beginning, you go a bit elaborate from bottom up, and then in 40 days, you start studying only very small notes, which are very important, which you think will come in the real exam. Okay? Is that clear now? A bit of the strategy, the textbooks. Anyone has any other doubt? Current affairs, CSAT. Yeah? Can we go to CSAT strategy? So, are you attending CSAT classes also here? What do you do when they teach you a topic in class? Do you go back home, revise it? Do you do questions on that? Okay. So when you study a topic in class like number system or ratio proportion, you will go back and practice a lot of it. The same questions in class, you will repeat them again. You will mug up your formulae and keep them very much sorted in your mind, because you cannot go wrong in formulae. And in the hours of CSAT, if you forget your formula, you will get a lot of stress in the paper also. So third point is to go to the same PYQs. We all have these textbooks in the market which segregate topics for CSAT. Have you seen that? Topic wise for CSAT, go back and do the same again. Keep your weekly or bi-weekly schedule to do number systems with a topic and something with the other. So plan like that, and then you come back and do 2-hour papers after a couple of months. Once you've sorted this base, 2-hour papers, you will check your accuracy. You will also check how you will pace the exam. Did you quickly search for what you wanted, or did you go from first to 80? So these strategies you will have to figure yourself out. That is CSAT strategy now. And no matter what happens in 24, 25, if it's a very tough paper, don't worry about that at all. The essence of the paper will not change. So what you've studied throughout now based on PYQs and important topics, it will all be the same also. Do you have this worry that 25 will be a very tough paper? How will I do? They'll change the pattern. Do you hear these murmurs around? But that doesn't matter. You can't predict the paper at all. You can't control it. The same strategy should work for you in 25 as well. Any other doubt in CSAT? Have you given mocks? Have you started classes? Maybe some topic is difficult for you. Anything in CSAT that you want to ask me? No, I do not do YouTube channel, but what I would do is I would attend classes, make a note of the formula, and then I would do it on my own. But there are many online. I think all of it, any of it that you like will be helpful. And depending on your level of CSAT, if you want someone in detail, then you find something a bit more longer. Or someone just culminating facts for you, then take another channel. So depending on where your strategy is at now. But please don't take CSAT lightly, but also don't be so much scared of CSAT. It's a qualifying paper only. Again, you don't get more marks for answering a very tough question. Do you have doubts in the English portion? The English comprehension? What doubts do you have in that? Have you seen the PYQs? Is it hard to do? Some? And some are very easy. So my strategy was not to spend a lot of my energy on passages I can't even understand. Do you think we can judge immediately, okay, this I can't understand, this is not my cup of tea, and move on? We can judge that, right? Like once you read a passage and you feel like, I don't see head or tail of this, I don't see where the conclusion is, I'm not flowing with it, please don't waste your energy on such topics. Maybe they are there to while away time. So also in the English comprehension, do a lot of practice at home, and try to not make careless mistakes like incorrect, corollary, and a lot of these keywords also change your interpretation of the answers. Corollary or inference. So please pay attention to that also. And any other doubts in CSAT? Anyone? As you go on with your classes, please make sure to go back and practice a lot of the topics. Okay, now another thing is the prelims exam temperament. Do you want to discuss that now? You should, because you will be writing in 25. A lot of your mindset at that point will depend on how you prepare yourself now. A lot of stresses, like I told you, will come up in 40 days, will come up before the examination, will come up in the exam. But your mindset should be like what I told him, that what you can't control in the exam is true for everyone else. But you should control only two things, your time management and your negative self-talk. Everything else, geography, rivers, a lot of this will come to your mind automatically once you're calm in the examination. So anytime you give a mock, please time it yourself, keep a watch ready. And though you can give mocks online, I would prefer, I would print my papers, I would print the prelims, and I would have a bubble sheet on my own as well. So I would try to do the same exam setup. Since are you all giving for the first time in 25? So it will be a classroom a lot like this. You will be separated, you'll get a bubble sheet, and you'll also get 100 questions. And then you will have set codes, and then you open the first page. You will have a lot of stress. You'll think a lot about your 1 year of preparation. But what will you do at that stage? You will find questions which are very simple to do. Find that chunk, bubble it quickly, and then do your paper in iterations. Does that make sense? I don't want to bombard you with so much information now, but when you start doing your mocks, please remember that you will only focus on time management. Okay, do you want to move on to mains now? A little bit on mains? Okay, before we do the syllabus, I want to discuss some of the PYQs to just map what I meant. Okay. This is 23 paper, which you should all go and see. I wanted to show you that this topic, rivers, is a very important topic, and this has come in the examination. This is from your basic 11th, 12th NCRTs. You look at all of this, you might feel a bit scared, but once you know where this river feeds in, you will know these two from your NCRT books, and then you will know that these two are correct. Does that make sense? So, rivers topic I told you is important. This is the first question. It has come from NCRTs. Okay, these two are a bit difficult, but you will not focus on this in the first iteration. Do you want to get cotton, jackfruit and all of this now? No. You will find questions that you know very well. Now we go to this question. Can you all see? Sorry, at the back, could you see? This was the question on Jhelum River passes through Vular Lake. So this question is NCRT. Okay, these two we would skip a bit because we don't know exactly what we should do. Here you will feel tension that, oh, I don't know this at all, somebody else will know, but nobody will really know the answer for this also, right? You will skip these two in your first iteration. Now you see this question, do you know the answer to what has more arable run proportion? This is not in your static syllabus. Again, you will leave this, but this is a PYQ about arable land in India. Is India the largest rice producer? So you will apply logic from there and come here. They will not repeat the same question in your paper at all, but they will expect to know PYQs. Okay, but this question, does anyone know the answer? Which one of the following is the best example of repeated falls in sea level, giving rise to present-day extensive marshland? Anyone know the answer to this? Is this in your static syllabus? In the books that we all study? No, right? Okay, probably because you've not studied the entire syllabus yet. But generally, this is not found in all textbooks. And clearly, in my years of preparation, I have not come across this exact fact. But does that mean that I didn't clear the prelims? No. Because I would have left this completely. I would not focus on questions where I cannot eliminate anything at all. Does that make sense to you? Can someone explain what the strategy I'm talking about here means? I'm focusing on what I know because I've revised this in 40 days, and these questions are a little scary, but I'll come back to it a bit later and judge whatever I know. This is a PYQ, so I should have known how to apply a bit here and there, and this I will leave completely because I don't know the answer. We are not guessing in this exam if we can't eliminate. We are going to deduce things if we can. That's the strategy. And this is your current affairs. If you were lucky to study cobalt, then you will mark the answer and move on. If you don't know, you don't know. But don't sit and guess in the paper for this question. This is current affairs. This is static. This is a bit of logical in the second iteration. This is PYQ. And this is something I would have left in the exam. And this is again a question, a PYQ question, because in 21 they had asked on the major minerals. So this is how you should reduce here. Once you prepare, please come back to this sheet and take a look at it. Okay. Now, this is the polity part. This is where your 40 days will matter the most. You should know which of the following are constitutional bodies. If you haven't done the 40 days of static, this also will go wrong. You have left the Bhaitarnika question and you've left this. So you would not have got plus in a lot of questions. So now does it make sense? We focus on static syllabus. So this is from your static. This is also from your static. This is the polity portion, which if you're strong in polity, you could have done this in the examination first. And president's election, this is from the book, Lakshmikant book. And please see Lakshmikant today, study a bit over the week and come back to this page. Maybe you will get the confidence of what I'm talking about. And then this parliament chapter I said is very important. Money bill, the bill part of it. And this is not an easy question. So this you cannot do with polity. But you have done so many in the exam. This is the +2 that you need in the examination. Okay, now I wanted to show you that this is from Spectrum. Again, 40 days of revision. Yeah. So when you ask me what should you do in the 40 days, this is what you should have a day for Spectrum. This is a very simple question. This is from Spectrum. This is from our very basic NCERT books, Ancient Medieval Modern India. This is not some small fact and some very academic book, but this is from our static syllabus. So don't spread your sources so much. This is a very simple fact that they have asked. And this is a very tough question. Again, I would have left this in the real exam because I don't know which one of this is correct. Now in the market, you will be flooded with the answers to this, but before the examination, it would be hard to guess. Okay, and this again is from Spectrum. For culture, art and culture, there is a book called Nitin Singhania, which I did not mention. Have you all got that? This is directly from that, this option. This chapter on Ajanta. So a lot of this is from our static syllabus. If you have revised your small sources, which everyone has been doing, you can easily do this examination. But you should not worry about questions like this in the coming years, the year of your preparation, because this you can't chase. Again, based on your mocks, current affairs of that year, maybe you can logically deduce what is the answer. So let's not focus about these questions for now. Now, I wanted to talk about this question. This is 2022. Have you all seen this paper? 22 paper? Okay. This question says, if a major solar flare reaches the Earth, which of the following are the possible effects on the Earth? What would you have done in such a big question like this? Tell me. You have to answer this question. Do you all know, is there a book that teaches you, okay, these are the 5 things that happen? No. But in this question, you would eliminate things which are very silly. You will have an option like that. Can you spot something very absurd in these options, in the 7? You following me? This is not in your static books. It's not in current affairs. But you have to do this question because you know only 25 questions properly, like the ones before in the exam. But you have to do this. What will you do? You have to find a way to eliminate. Anyone has an answer for me? Can you all see at the back? First option is GPS and navigation systems fail. Second is tsunamis could occur. Third is power grids. Fourth is aurora, forest fire, orbits of satellite and shortwave. We know the answer, but how? What is your process? Huh? Sorry? Do you have something? An answer? Forget this. I'm asking only 1 to 7. What will you do? Someone has to say something. I will not move on. How did you come to see? That's what I'm saying. You will eliminate this. Does it make any sense that tsunamis will occur with solar flare? Somehow assuming, okay, these are related. You don't know power grids, aurora, but this is the most absurd. Something has to be absurd in these 7 options. Does it make sense? The clue is in the question only. It's not in your textbooks or in your current affairs magazines, but in this question itself. Don't start thinking, what did I study on solar flares? You know solar flare happens outside. That is it. But you will try to focus. You will only confine yourself to this. When you eliminate 2, you get the answer C. So if there are some questions like this, where you can eliminate, this is one way to move in the examination. Okay, we'll move on to the syllabus. A little bit I will tell you. Would you like me to tell you, or you're thorough with it? Can we see a bit of this syllabus? Okay. So ideally, when you're doing prelims preparation, a little bit of the mains also you will start to begin, because there is an overlap. Now, this is the Indian culture. I had done this from Nitin Singhania and from the mains test series. You will see PYQs for this topic. And again, what you studied in your ancient medieval history, you will have the same content, but you will focus more on cultural parts of it. Art forms, literature and architecture. Cultural part of the ancient medieval history. Also, Nitin Singhania was something I followed, and please see PYQs for this. Pala art, Buddhist art example, a lot of it was repeated. But also, let me tell you, this is a very, very small part of GS1. There's hardly one question that comes. So will you chase a lot of your time for this? No. It's only one question that generally comes from this portion. Now, this is very important. This information is modern history. You've already studied this in your prelims part. So don't worry so much about it. Just take a look at your PYQs. You have to do PYQs for this part of the paper. They will ask you things. The questions are like, why were the armies of British much better? Or the famine and all of that. These answers you will know from a prelims perspective, but mains you should make a note of it. You should make a PYQ. But there are many textbooks in the market. You can supplement it. But generally speaking, you already have prepared this in your prelims. And post-independence consolidation. So I'm sure you know that this topic and this topic, world history and PIC, generally come interchangeably. They are not a bulky part of your GS1. You will have one question mostly, and you will see PYQs again, and they don't, if you see PYQs, they won't ask you philosophies much in detail, so you will not focus on that. You will have to make your answers for PYQs. And once you know, decolonization is a very important part of the topic. So PYQs, you will see that, okay, this is getting repeated a lot of times. African decolonization, Malayan Peninsula, for example. And then you will chase those topics. But like I said, PIC, Post India, and these are very small parts of GS1. So not the most important things you will chase. Now, this is the society portion. From here till here, and there's always a question on these society portion, again PYQs and anything in the market, but PYQs will take you further. And generally they combine a topic like this with diversity. They combine a topic like work from home with something happening today. So for these topics you should have a sociology terminology. The vocabulary should be correct. Now, this portion is from your 11th and 12th NCRTs. There was a question on primary rocks, which came 2021. Please see the question paper 2021, and that had come from these topics. So again, NCRTs important for this, and PYQs. Topics like cyclone, GLOF, cloudburst. A lot of our current affairs magazines also have what's happening in news now. So that will help you. Okay, so now we move on to GS2. Polity, we have done already in prelims. Lakshmikant is not helpful for mains so much, but you will again focus on PYQs, because they will ask you questions on basic structure doctrine, on constitutionalism, etc. And those are repeated generally. The same theme is repeated. But please make a note that in GS2, case laws are very important. case in the Bharati case, a lot of these cases which are in current affairs magazines, they will also help you. So make a note of case laws in your GS2 papers with PYQ. Separation of powers always has a question. And comparison of this with other countries, you can do coaching class material if you wish. And parliament questions, if you see, a lot of it is written here, but generally the question that they ask is, why is it not functioning as it should be? So you will make an answer based on PYQs with statistics, the accuracy of parliament, the proceedings, for example. So my point in telling you is that you have prepared a lot of the base for this in NCRTs and Lakshmikant, but you will have to go to PYQs and make it on your own. Now the second portion is governance. Okay. Governance means policies. Why are policies going wrong? Why is the government not working well? Or some very specific scheme they can ask you. They can also ask you schemes for vulnerable sections. There's a topic on civil services, which is your role of civil services. So these are very static portions. Generally, you will make a structure, government policy name, efficacy. You will have dimensions such as institution not working well, or structure not working well, or access to beneficiaries. Now, maybe you don't have to worry so much about it, but when you study your newspapers, you will be able to fill the content in your news. But see PYQs once more. This is all in news. There's a lot of jargon in GS2 syllabus, but trust me, the paper is very doable. It's based on current affairs, and when you do test series, you will get an idea of how questions are coming. Okay, now we come to international relations. 4 questions come from this. Now, the last 2 questions are IR, and the 9th and 10th questions are IR generally. So by the time you keep coming to these, you'll get a bit tired. So it's always good to keep basic structures ready. When you see India neighborhood, India, Nepal, India, Bhutan, India, for example, your dimensions will be defense, society, people to people, trade. You see the parallels of your GS syllabus, that's how your basic notes will be. So try to do that. Just make a note of it. Maybe it won't make so much sense to you now, but when you come to this, right, dimensions. And this is all in news. And if you attend classes, then the diaspora part of it, yes, bilateral relation and diaspora, that will also get covered. This year they had asked Indian diaspora, for example. So these are very static syllabus, very doable. If you see PYQs and make answers for them, it'll be much simpler. I would suggest you go to PYQs, Google yourself and make answers. And then coaching class material, add them. Current affairs material, add them if it's related to the PYQs. And then give your test series. You have a base ready. Once you get test series corrected, you'll have a solutions PDF. Add that to your basic notes now. It's an iterative process. There is no book for mains. There is no set strategy for mains. You have to collect good material, which is PYQ centric, and then keep building on that. So I can't suggest a book for something. It's based on PYQs, and you will supplement with current affairs and your test PDFs. Okay. Now GS3 is a very content heavy paper. The more terminologies and vocabulary that you write, the better it is. This is core economics, and from here onwards it becomes agriculture. This is again very static. You will have a ready-made answer for food processing, for farm subsidies, MSP, irrigation, transport. You will have set answer for all of this, and exactly the same thing is asked in your exam. So try to chase these basic topics. And when you have these topics, please make a note. You will write facts, you will have maps, you will have a lot of diagrams and graphs. Make a note of all of this. Graphs such as maybe a map on the different industries in India, graph of how the food processing sector has improved in volume and value. These are the graphs you need to have in your maps. And cropping patterns, which part of the country is doing which crop, that's what it means in general, and how much wheat, rice we produce, for example. So these are the topics that are coming in agriculture. Okay, this is a very important topic, infrastructure. Every year they ask this, and they've asked almost everything. So you will have static syllabus with this again. In infrastructure, you need to have generally India's railway layout, road layout, how it has improved, the investment in infrastructure has improved. So if a lot of it is boring for you now, you have to get these facts. We can go to economic survey and newspapers and get the facts right. And interestingly, the economic survey has a commensurate chapter to each of this. So make facts from economic survey and coaching class material. material. GS3 overall, apart from PYQs, you should have statistics from current affairs, newspapers, and economic survey. Do you all know the economic survey? Have you heard of it? So it comes with the budget document and it talks about Indian economy, a snapshot of it, a very, very helpful document for the preparation. Please make a note of all the graphs, not all of them, but very simpler ones you can replicate, and statistics from that book. Now, science and tech. This is current affairs. Pure current affairs, science and tech. Again from current affairs magazines. Chandrayaan was in news, so they asked the same question in 22. James Webb was in news in 21. They asked that the next year. So it's all in news, and your mains test series will help you predict a lot of it. Now, general awareness, you can, each topic, please have a note of this and get to know the Indian schemes that we have, the institutions, why India is lagging in science and technology, or how much we have done. And current affairs will always come, such as the vaccines, which were in news, had come in the paper. So science and tech will have perhaps 2 or 3 questions, and you'll have very specific questions to this. But you need to have terms from the current affairs magazines. Disaster management also comes. And these 2 are environment topics. This prelims knowledge won't be as helpful. Again, from this you will have questions on current affairs. COP28, India's pledges, issues with Indian environmental change, for example. So a lot of these topics will be coming here. And EIA is a static part, and this you can get from your basic textbook also. There won't be many questions on this, but they will ask you on COP28, for example. It's in news. They'll ask you what are the things that we introduced, how was it helpful. So keep your lookout for the news in specific. Now, this is a very important portion. Defense part of it, internal security. You will again have static part of it, but always have maps in your answer. And there are a lot of books in the market also, in which they have explained how toppers have written these answers. Take a look at that as well. Make a note of it. PYQs with toppers or something like that. Now, GS4. Does anyone know anything about GS4 paper? Anything about GS4? Is it very different from GS 1, 2, 3? So it's not just points. It's a lot about how you are approaching things in life until now. Does that make sense? Do you all do any of you journal? Write a journal or write how you're feeling and things like that. Ethics is a lot like that. They want you to be very original in the examination. You need to have examples about things around you, and you map it to every part of the topic. For example, it says candidates' attitude and approach to issues. How are you going to answer a question on corruption, or a question on civil services, a question on the war, for example? That's what this topic is on. See, generally for this paper, you will have coaching class material. You will have many sources. I had Lukman, I think, was a book that I had seen. And then you will keep that base ready, and you will go to PYQs again. Again, I'm saying PYQs, but you will write what is emotional intelligence online, and you will make an answer out of it. In your test series, you will learn this answer and write it again, and then supplement it further. Does that make sense? This is the process for GS4. You will have to write PYQs. So this is a very introductory part. Generally, questions are coming from here. Lessons from lives of great leaders, reformers, and administrators. So this is a very important part of it. This talks about, this you can ignore. This you can ignore because it's a little difficult, but generally this talks about what ethics is. Human interface means how we meet with each other. What are the ethics we should have with each other? So a lot of it is this topic, and this is a very important topic here. Attitude. Our attitude towards life. Like how do we see challenges? So this is what the topic will be on, and this is a very, very important topic because this comes every year, and you should remember these words from the syllabus: integrity, impartiality, non-partisanship, and every page in your notes should be based on these. You should have a page on integrity, quotations, examples, what it means, a lot of this basic content. And in the exam, they won't ask you what is integrity. There'll be something on integrity. Should a civil servant have integrity? What is the importance of it? And from that notes, you will write your answer. Does it make sense? Okay. So every year, there's a question on emotional intelligence. Does anyone know what this is? What is emotional intelligence? Yeah, how you balance emotions. Anyone else? Have you read books on Stoicism, the books on Gita, books on philosophy? Any idea? For GS4 paper, you have to be very internal in your exam. It is not a bookish paper at all. If you're a creative person who loves to write and read, you will put all of it in this. The more original you are in this paper, the more marks you will get. And trust me, this is where you differentiate yourself from others in all the 4 papers. Ethics, essay and optional. No one knows what this is? It means how do you make your emotions work for you? If you are sad, happy, angry, everybody faces the same emotion, but how do you make it your asset? A lot like our prelims paper, like we are very much tensed and stressed in the paper, but we try to channelize it to something better. So this is a very important part of your GS4. This repeats every year almost. Okay. Now, there will be a part in your paper where they will give you quotations, a quotation on something, and you will have to answer and explain that to the examiner. And that comes from this. This was asked last year. Again, these are all the values that they expect you to have in the civil services. The ones before this is a personal value. Does that make sense? So you will have a lot of this in your PYQs. Every part in your notes should have every topic: work culture, quality of service, delivery, utilization of something. So you will have notes like this in your, you'll have PYQs and you'll have notes from coaching classes. Most important is case studies. Have you seen case studies in the recent papers? A very large problem. And they'll ask you many questions based on that. And that's a very important part of GS4. Again, with GS4, time is a very big companion. You have to map your timings very well. So when you see a case study, it'll be a very large case studies. Start to underline the different things in the case study itself. And then you realize, okay, what's happening, and then you can answer. This will take practice. My strategy was that I did, there are 2 parts. Do we all know that? There are 2 parts to the ethics paper? No? There are 2 parts. First part is the question answers, 2-page answers. 13 questions will be there. You have to finish those at least within 1.5 hours because it's a very tough, lengthy paper. Part B will have only case studies. This tiny portion will actually be part B in entirety. And this you should finish in 1 hour, 30 minutes. You will be in your preparation. I had done this. I had done the 13 marker part before. PYQs I had done those before, and then I focused on case studies. Again, with PYQs you will have an understanding of what I'm trying to say. Let's look at this paper. This is GS4. Have you all seen PYQ for mains? GS4 have you seen? Okay. So this is the first question. Identify 5 ethical traits on which one can plot the performance of a civil servant. Justify the all of this is there. This is not exactly in PYQs, but if you see this portion, identify 5 ethical traits, this has come much before. They would have asked you what are the important qualities a civil servant should have. You will write the same answer. Only thing they've added is justify their inclusion in the matrix. You have to write a very big paragraph of the importance of this quality. So you see the importance of PYQs? What you've done before in this 1 year will help you in the exam. Again, this question, every work has got to pass through hundreds of difficulties before succeeding. Those that persevere will see the light sooner or later. Which quality is being asked in this? Say it louder. So perseverance is a quality that they're asking. So once you understand that quotation questions, there is one quality they focus on. That's the secret of this part. You will write about perseverance. You will explain to them what this means. And you will personalize it a bit more in your preparation, maybe, or in your life, or some personality who has done much better. You'll put a lot of examples and completely convince the examiner that this is true. That's the point of quotation-based questions. If you see this, we can never obtain peace in the world, outer world. Okay, this is, we can never obtain peace in the outer world until and unless we obtain peace within ourselves. Dalai Lama. Does it mean something to you? What do you think that means? We can never obtain peace in the outer world until we find peace within ourselves. Does it hit a chord with any of you? It's a question on emotional intelligence, basically.
until you are settled inside, unless you are sure of who you are, you will always keep finding faults in the world outside. So you have to explain to the examiner that you know what this is about, and you will write 2 pages on this with examples. Now, this is not out of syllabus. You have EI in the syllabus, and you have perseverance and hard work and all of this in the syllabus already. So it's just another way to test your knowledge. So now, do you have a snapshot of the GS mains syllabus and strategy? Okay. Any other doubt? Any other doubt on this? Yeah. So, note making for prelims, for example, is based on just factoids. But for mains, you have to have very small notes finally at the end of it, should have statistics, should have quotations, should have graphs for GS3, and should have a lot of the dimensions which you're writing for the answers. Like when I say issues of education, you should have 4 dimensions. Issues with education infrastructure, teaching, syllabus, a lot of these. These will be 4 or 5 dimensions. And based on the question, you will manipulate all of this and write. Does it make sense? So when you're writing mains, as you study, you'll have bulky notes, but before you go for the examination or run up to it about 2-3 weeks, make very short notes, because you will write in your notes what will come in the paper exactly. You should write that, because we're writing mains on our own, so we can control what we're writing. So always write statistics, quotations, and put all of this in your mains notes. Okay, anything else? We can move on to optional, like how to choose an optional. Yes, nothing is mandatory, but you will get a lot of current affairs, you'll get a lot of statistics, put all of that down. I had done it, especially for science and tech and environment. That is very helpful. For GS, for mains, we should do PYQs. See, if you have a topic on separation of power, that has come already before. So you will write a very similar answer in your this as well. And when you see current affairs magazines or newspaper, you will supplement what you've already done. So that's how you go about it. But GS2 is very scoring if you have case studies, case laws. Anyone else? In mains exam, if you don't do answer writing, that's a very big problem. If you don't have consolidated sources, it's a very big problem. Answer writing means you have you done answer writing? Do you know what that is? That's a practice everyone usually does. You have a 4x4 page like the UPSC specimen, and you write answers to it, not like a test, but you make answer at home, like an hour of the paper, you write it down. So answer writing means when you see a question, you should know how to go about it immediately. How will I introduce quickly? What body will I have? What will be the presentation? How will I conclude? This mindset immediately should come when you're doing answer writing. It's not enough to do PYQs and collect content. They will not clear the exam that way. You have to apply what you have studied. So you practice it at home with answer writing. I would do it perhaps because 9 a.m. is the timing. I would do 9 to 10 and 2 to 3 I would do answer writing as much as I could. You will have the same paper and the same pen that you will have. So write the question and quickly write down whatever you think the answer is on your own without mugging up. That's the practice. And then you will do answer writing through your test series. You will have 3-hour exams at home or in the center that you have to do. We will not try to do so many tests that we completely get tired, but once you have a base ready, you will learn it and then you innovate in the examination. Now, second thing is having too many sources. Defense, for example, there'll be a lot of things in the market, but you don't need to chase everything in the market. Just make a basic answer. Every time you do a test series, just add facts or a diagram. This will be an incremental process throughout your preparation. So if you don't do answer writing or if you have a lot of sources, it'll be very confusing in the 3 hours of the exam. In the exam, mistakes people make is again not managing time. Generally, you will have to finish about 7 minutes for a 10 marker and about 10 to 11 minutes for a 15 marker question. In your GS. You all know there's 10 and 15 marks, right, for GS. So you'll have to time it like that. And in the real exam, you have to go 1 minute lower actually. 6 minutes versus 10. Because there'll be some stress, some frenzy, it may not be very possible. So keep that in mind. In the exam, if you don't do time management, you will miss out the paper. And not completing the paper is a very big problem. You might lose a lot of your rank. Anything else? Optional? Shall we move on? Have you chosen your optional, all of you? What are your optionals? Geography? Anyone? Anthropology? Okay, sociology? Babad? No? Some of those who did not raise your hands, what are your optionals, or have you not chosen them? Not chosen yet? Okay. So, ideally in the long 1 year preparation, it's always prudent to have your optional selected much while you're preparing itself, because only you will mark it immediately when you fill the form for prelims. You will have to mention your optional as well. So when you choose an optional, an important criteria is to like it to some extent. May not have to be your passion, but you should like it to some extent that you can stick with it for your years of preparation. A lot of people have different backgrounds in their graduation as well, but it can be very different subject also. So I had taken anthropology because I liked the subject a lot. I knew I had that interest for society and culture, and I stuck with the subject. So you should also find an optional, number one, but you have some interest. Now, if you don't know you're interested in maths or geography or something, please take a look at the basic textbooks and the syllabus ones. You will not start studying as such. You will spend good 2 weeks to go through the syllabus and see some chapters at random. Does it stick with you? Do you like it? You have to write an optional, so you have to choose something. So try to choose something where you have some interest in at least. And then once the books are ready, once you have some syllabus, once you're okay I can stick with it, then you start seeing book list of teachers, test series. Is it scoring or not? Generally, is it scoring or not is a good question to ask, but I have seen over the preparation that a lot of ups and downs are also happening in so-called scoring papers. So if there is good amount of material in the market for your optional, that's also good criteria. So those who don't have an optional ready, just take a look at the syllabus once. If you have always wanted to learn about something, you like something, look at the syllabus, look at some basic books and the question papers. Can you understand the question paper? Do you think you can do this in quick time? Does it make sense to you? So take a look at all of that. Talk to people who have given the optional before, practical problems, a lot of this, then you have to decide. But there's a lot of work you should put in now to figure out your optional, and take a good 2-3 weeks and let that course come. And anything else about which optional or how to decide, or you're stuck between two? But when you start the preparation, ideally you should have a good optional inkling, like, okay, this is something I can do. Anything else? So there is a timeline I can suggest you. Since you're starting now, you will be doing prelims preparation. That's most important. And there is some overlap prelims has with mains. Like I showed you polity, modern history. So when you have a class for prelims, you will go back and try to see, okay, is mains, can I do the PYQs? You will do this together, and then you will focus a lot of your time on optional. You will have to study optional in parallel. I had the strategy of doing 3 days is to 4 days for generally, because I wanted to focus on optional. So I would go for classes and I would make notes out of it and do a little bit of answer writing if possible. But right now answer writing is very tough to do because your mindset is not on writing an answer. You will think that your preparation is so unfinished to begin something. So until December, I had this mains plus prelims focus and optional alone. And 1 or 2 days in the week, I would focus on ethics and essay. It's very stressful to do it like this, but until December, you should have a good idea about your prelims. Some amount of mains, GS, and optional should be ready, at least 70%, I would say. And ethics and essay, to some degree, you should know about it. You cannot finish all of it until December, but you will be prepared for the 3 months after prelims. Then February to around March mid, you will revise and consolidate everything, and then you will do only full tests in April and May. Generally, I had done that. I did full tests a bit later, last 3 months with CSAT preparation. And then after prelims and mains, you will focus a lot of time on optional, ethics and essay. Everyone has to focus on these papers before everything else. This was a strategy you can follow. Anyone else? Yeah, so but I do want to tell you that 22, okay, it was a bit simpler because you could eliminate options, but the same essence of the paper did not change in 23. You had similar questions on Charter Act, same questions on rivers and all of that. So when I saw the paper, it will always dip, because it will dip for sure, because unless you really know the answer, you cannot mark only 2 or only 3. Accuracy will dip, and the cutoff fell so much more. It fell at least 10 marks lower. 75 is a very low cutoff. So if it's tough for you, it's tough for everyone. So when I saw the paper, it was a bit shocking because there were so many questions on only, and I knew it was not like the 2022 paper, 21 also. But I knew I did not change anything in my strategy at all. It was the same areas of focus. I went to the important questions, did them, and came back. When there was a jackfruit and Mundra Port question, of course you don't know the answer, but I tried to eliminate at least all and none, and then thought between B and C if I knew the answer. So I did not change my approach or my strategy at all. The accuracy has to dip. I'm sure my prelim scores have fallen, but at least I tried to reduce the risk. It was a calculated risk. I did not guess or mark any of the 4 options. You understand? Yeah, I always do iterations. So in my prelims 21, 22, I had done 3 iterations at least. I did first what I knew, came back and did 50-50, came back and did other random questions. But in this paper, you cannot do this in 3 iterations. So I did at least 5 or 6 I would have done. Because as the iterations move on, you become riskier with your marking. Riskier, but calculatively you take a risk. You don't just mark random questions. So I had taken more iterations for sure. And I had done lesser questions than my previous attempt. But I did not change any strategy. There was no panic in the exam because they can't change the essence of the paper. They will still ask you static. They will still ask you important topics. Science and tech will have new technology, so they can't change the structure so much. Just the way of the options have changed, and the cutoff fell for everyone. So don't worry, even if 25 something changes or something of that sort, but the essence will be same. What you've practiced till now will help you. Anyone else? In optional? Anyone else? Any other question? So there's one thing that I want to discuss, interview preparation and experience. Any of you curious about that? That's the 3rd stage of our exam, interview. And interestingly, the interview stage is where you are suddenly open in front of a lot of people. You're preparing very solitarily for mains, prelims. You can scratch and cross things which are wrong, but in interview, you are bare bones in front of everyone. Anything that goes wrong, you get flustered very quickly, and there are so many people judging you. The setup is like this. The interviews begin around January, like this year, and you have panels in UPSC, 5-member panels, and you sit there in the middle of them, and the questions come to you one after the other. You submit a DAF, detailed application form. One page has all of your details about your parent background, education, and all of that, and one part has your hobbies, achievements. That's something that will differentiate you. So if you have some time coming now, try to pick up a hobby or a physical activity which you can balance with the exam. It's very tough to do so, but take a hobby which is very personal to you, which you think you can do well. A lot of people take up origami. I had cubing, for example, because I could take some time out and do that. So this is the interview. You're giving them all of this information, and they ask you questions based on your hometown, current affairs. In my first interview, it was in 2023 March, and they had asked me questions on G20, foreign affairs. They had asked me questions about my hometown, about boxing, about cubing, because a lot of this was in my DAF and in my news. And it was a very interesting experience because I was very flustered before the interview. First time they're letting so many people judge you. You're open completely, and you have to, the importance of interview is you have to articulate your thoughts well. How clearly can you put forth how much you support G20 or the problems that you face? It's so much in your mind and so much in your mains answer, but can you articulate precisely of what you think about an opinion? So my first interview, was okay. I had done public speaking in school, but I was still very flustered. And I got marks were okay, but I thought my answers were too detailed. Maybe people would prefer a quicker answer. So then my second interview, I did a lot of reading. I made sure my opinions were my own. I did not look to someone else to tell me what they thought about issues. So in the interview, they are not checking your knowledge at all. They are going to ask you a lot about what you think about the issues. What do you think about issues like this? So you don't tell them a bookish answer, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, but you have to tell them what you feel. They will cut you anywhere and ask you to, they'll give you a different argument. So interview is a very interesting place where they judge you as a person, and in 20-25 minutes, a lot of you comes out. So in my next interview, I made sure I read a lot of newspapers, current affairs magazines, but I really articulated to myself. I would talk in my phone, record what I thought about issues, and give mock interviews also. And so a lot of it helped me articulate thoughts better, and I improved a lot in my second interview. So in my attempts, I never worried so much about interview in the beginning stages. But when it comes, be prepared that you will have to be earnestly and honestly who you are in front of a lot of people. In the mocks, they'll teach you how to dress up, how to sit, how to talk. But you are judged only on how well you're articulating your opinions and how strong you stand by them, and how multidimensionally you're seeing things. They had asked me, okay, so G20 is a failure. We're spending so much money on this. But I had to explain that no, it's making India Vishwa Guru, for example. We are balancing so well between the two wars at that time. And this time they'd asked me on Israel-Hamas issue, why we are not joining Prosperity Guardian. So whatever happens in that week is very important. On that day also, a lot of people read the newspapers in the room itself. So the only information the board has is the newspapers and the DAF. So that's where your interview will be around. So it'll be very interesting when you reach that stage. It'll be a different experience altogether. And I'm done with what I wanted to talk about. Any other doubts that you have in this whole journey, or what you're looking forward to? But I would suggest that you go back home today and just internalize why you want to do this exam once. For whom are you doing it? Because there has to be a very strong why to keep going on. It took me 4 attempts, but I had a very strong why, so I kept going ahead even though I failed. You need to have a very internalized, self-confident person in you. If you keep looking outside, okay, what did they do? What was their strategy? What will that auntie think of me? Or what will that service give me? This is not the way to proceed in the exam. You owe it to yourself to do a lot of good work. Every day you will judge your preparation. You will not know where to study from. These things won't matter to you, but it's a process entirely. And it's a process that is so important that will really trigger your potential to the utmost level. So I also advise that don't have very high hopes that I will clear easily in my first attempt. A lot of people do it with good confidence, with good guidance. That's also valid. But my point is to focus on your process a bit more. And if you fail by some godforsaken issue in the mains or prelims, it's not that you were a faulty person. It's just that your process was wrong. So perhaps I could have cleared in first attempt if my process was despicable. It was impeccable. So focus on the process and be very confident every day. You have a lot of guidance and mentorship everywhere. Take all of it in, but do it your way. Right? So it's a long, interesting journey. Keep learning, and all the best to everyone. I'll see you somewhere soon. If you reach out to sir, maybe he can pass on his doubts to me. So good luck everyone, and online as well for your doubts. Thank you so much.